spend a lot of time being silly in my garden, but I do actually grow a few things as well. So I'm doing my first ever live. I'm gonna go take you on a bit of a tour, see what is actually growing the raised beds right at the top somewhere, the little garden pond that Anthony's made around that side. The biggest obstacle we're gonna have is the Wi-Fi signal. Nicht so good here. And I did try and do a test live. It's really not great at the very top of the garden. So we're going to avoid that space entirely. But first of all, we're here on my little patio. This is where we dine. We sometimes set up our little ninja barbecue thing over there and we eat with our faces. But it's surrounded by a beautiful collection of pots. Now, I'm going to have to do this quite a lot where I turn the camera around so you can actually see. This is my, oh, hello. This is my pride and joy. This is Kelly. This is the biggest cactus that I've ever grown. Hey, this is the biggest cactus that I've ever grown ever. Isn't she absolutely gorgina? She is giant. And every year she kind of grows like an additional nodule, which Kelly is like so proud of. It's actually unreal. We upgraded her pot this year for the first time too, which was quite a scary moment. But other than that, there's a couple of little succulents. We've got a cool little aloe there, this weird little hot lip here, which is kind of fluffy, and I enjoy the little lippage on that. A couple of other succulents hiding down here. This one's called this little moony coloured succulenty stone thing. And then geraniums. We don't really talk about geraniums that much because it's not most people's favourite. A little rose, but this plant is probably Anthony's favourite plant in the entire garden. This is a Louisia, and the reason why we love it so much is we used to have loads when we lived in London. We didn't bring any down here, but look how cute they are. They are fluorescente. The bees obsessed, literally obsessed. And then once they've stopped flowering, they do this. Look, they kind of like have this little rise. They just give it a little trim. She's gonna flower some more. I mean, hello, why wouldn't you want that? She is gorgeous, I completely agree. The other cool thing that's in this little section actually is some dahlias, but they're still coming. But check out this bad boy. This is an Aeonium Schwarzkopf, I think. Kind of like, it was tiny when it was about this big. She's grown all these crazy long stems. You can chop those off and then repot that and start again. Everybody needs an Aeonium in their life. Cosmic that girl, you are correct. And look, this year, she's started to go a little bit mad down here and she's growing loads of other stems, which is slightly alarming, but also I'm pretty happy about. Now, this side has got some random stuff going on and a very cracked wall. If anyone wants to come and fix my wall, that'd be very, very handy. Got a little lavender arena, which when it's really, really sunny, the bees go absolutely crazy in there. We've got this gorgeous Acer, which I've had for a few years now. If you've seen my little stupid video where I was singing about a big daddy pot, that is that there. And then these are all dahlias, these big chunky things here. Look at that bud. That's going to be a beast. These are all dahlias that will come out a little bit later in the year. And I'm not going to lie, we are hoping that the dahlias are going to do us a good job at the village show this year, aren't we? I need your help to help me choose which one. The Big Daddy Bot on Spotify would be amazing. I need your help to figure out which dahlia bloom is going to make it into the village show, because we need to win this year to keep my trophy. This little area down here, bit random, massive fennel, which if you can see all the flies and the bees absolutely enjoying this little space here. Little bee hotel there. Some dead boxes bush that's been eaten. But then these are really cool. I wanted to show you these. So these are Nigella seed heads. Nigella, like Nigella Lawson. Some people call them a love in a mist. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that, but the amount of cracking that comes off of it. But look at all of these cool seeds that come out. This does like a blue flower. And I'm not gonna lie, I planted maybe like 1 or 2 down here and all of these just sort of came out. So we're doing a little sprinkle down there and we'll see if we get some more Nigellas or love in a mist later this year as well. Not later this year, I'm telling a massive lie, next year. So that's kind of the area by the front of the house. A few little pots, some lavender, loads of fun stuff in here. Now we're coming to the first vegetable area, which I think you need to see very urgently. So let me just turn you around again. This little raised bed here is all about my crystal lemon cucumbers. So if you're not a cucumber fan, well, I was going to say you could try these, but these might freak you out a little bit. They're balls, lemon coloured and also lemon shaped balls. They grow up these little caney things that me and Anthony have made. Oh look, I found a big hanging cucumber ball. Now these black bits are actually quite spiky, so they're a little bit spiky to the touch. They taste just like a normal cucumber, but they're round and bowl shaped. They don't taste like lemons. And then look, you get a little ladybug hanging out here. Oh yeah, you've got to go to sleep. If it's that time in the morning, you need a little rest. Yeah, there's a little ladybird hanging out in there. The rest of this area has got some really gorgeous stuff going on, but also some absolute disasters. So this down here is my Romanesco cauliflowers, but it is not Romanesco cauliflowering. Every single one has been totally eaten by what is called a flea beetle. I thought at first it was some birds pecking away at it, so I built these mad little structures to go around it, but it was not. It was flea beetles. Flea beetles are not your absolute bestie, but that nature is nature and it's just doing its thing, so can't really help that too much, can we? This is also where I keep the bins, so you got to see my bins as well. I want to know how many of you are growing courgettes this year and how many of you have planted way too many courgettes, because if you have, I'm also in the way too many courgette club. Pretty guilty about that. There are some beast courgettes down there that we might harvest in a little video later on. But one bad boy courgette down here that you can see, this little courgette sort of hanging down there, looking all pretty. There's another courgette coming through there, look. I'll show you how big the garden is. It sort of goes down there. So maybe we'll split this tour into two halves. These are some mangel wurzels, absolute beasts. I've got some growing in pots and some growing in a raised bed. And I tell you what, the ones in the raised beds are like twice the size. Mangel wurzels are the plants that, you know the mandrakes in Harry Potter's, those ones that they pull up and then scream, that have all the legs and the faces underground? If you've seen Harry Potter, you've all read the books, you know what I'm talking about. Mandrakes were based on the mangel wurzels apparently, because they are absolute beasts of a plant. Also in this little veggie patch, oh my poor broccoli. The broccoli has also succumbed to the flea beetles. I don't know why I keep calling them fly beetles. Can you see these little black dots that are on the plant? So that there's one there. These are the flea beetles. Now they have been munching away on the broccoli, but I think the broccoli is big enough, unlike the cauliflowers, that they're going to make it. So yes, we are having a few pesty munchies, but that's okay. We don't do any spraying of any pesticides or anything in my garden, because if you spray pesticides down, the birds eat the pests, it all goes hideously wrong. And also, kind of seeing your plants being eaten by nature is actually kind of fun. I don't know if you agree with me, but nature is the best thing ever. That's why I do gardening, to see kind of how the plants grow and see what kind of nature plays around with it. And yeah, fine, my broccoli might die, but do you know what? That's just part of it. And I can always pick up a broccoli from the shop if I'm really, really hungry and the one in the garden dies. This one's definitely dead. Look at the state of this. She has become just a bit of a stick of her former self. Well, broccoli, absolute death. These squashes, these are courgette squashes. Look at the flowers. Look how cool these are. So when those get pollinated, they'll start to turn into a squash that you can then turn into courgette spaghetti really, really easily, which I've never grown before. I've never really eaten before. If you've made courgette spaghetti, can you let me know how you actually do it and what you would actually eat it with? Do you just use normal? Do you just treat it like normal spaghetti, I guess? So those are going to be quite fun. I've got A little raised bed here. This has just got a few little grasses in it. It has loads of really vibrant blue lupins, which are really cool in springtime. And then there's actually a little cherry blossom tree in the middle, that one there. It's quite a strange bed, I'm not gonna lie. I moved into this house, cut a big hole in the garden, and then planted some plants in there. So look, it's not the most ideal bed in the world, but it's doing something. And then I'm gonna show you 2 more beds, and I'm wondering actually, whether we do the second half of the garden tour another time or whether we just keep going. Maybe we'll just keep going today because we're crazy. This is my weird little wildlife pond. She is bubbling away. She's got we've seen some newts in there. The newts have been swimming around doing this. Oh, enjoy your breakfast. Have a lovely time. I want to know what you're going to eat. I'm quite hungry actually. This is, yeah, it's got newts in there hiding around, just been doing their little newty thing. We have seen some tiny, tiny little frogs that are playing and jumping in and out of there. One time we'll come out with a torch at night and it's easier to spot stuff shining the torch into the water. Maybe the frogs and stuff don't like it because they are technically sleeping, but shush. It's how we see them and how we enjoy them. So this is our little nature pond. It's having a great little time. There's this whole area though is just kind of wild. I did try to turn it into a little fern arena, but trust me, that weren't the one. The ferns have fried, but that's because it's not raining in the world because everything's so dry. Some little butler sinks down here, just some old sinks filled with ferns and tiarellas they're called. They're really fun. And then this bed has got something in that I've grown for the first time from seed. And I tell you what, she's an absolute beast. I'm obsessed with her. And this is called toad flax. Let me show you. This is it here. I love the colour. This sort of like snapdragon shaped flower. And then this like purpley, there you go, that you can make it talk. That's quite silly, isn't it? Hey, yeah. This little snapdragon shaped flower and does the little snappy dragon movement. But I'm obsessed with the purple colour on it. Hey. And also, hey from this plant. Hey. And they've just self-seeded and spread it around this little border, which I'm really excited to see how they grow. If you haven't quite figured it out, my garden aesthetic is very wild. So we plant a few things and then we just let loads of stuff grow. That plant, the purple one, this is a toad flax. This one here, that's the toad flax. And it, yeah, very, very fun. This little mouth opens. Well, let's do the mouth opening on this one because this one actually wanted a little chat. Oh, I've got loads of cactuses. At the start of this video, I showed a massive one in the garden. We might end there, might go back that way. Everything in my garden is a little bit wild, a little bit crazy, and yeah, there's kind of stuff just growing everywhere. Throw a few seeds down, plant a few things, see what happens. This is cool. See this, she's got a very humongous flower. This is a dahlia. This is called, I think this is a cafe au lait dahlia, but I can't remember, it's got some sort of twist in it because it's kind of pink on the inside. Giant blooms, look, they're bigger than my hand. This could be a contender for the village show because, well, she's an absolute boost. So that's quite fun. And then my verbenas that have been hanging out, they've started going a bit wonky, flopping all over the place because they're kind of done, aren't they? Should we go a little bit further up the garden and you can see what else is happening? This is kind of the middle of the garden here. So we started off down that end, and then this is the garden in the middle here. This one is oh, what kind of dahlias have you got? Or dahlias, what kind of dahlias have you got, Ash? Let me know, I'm obsessed. This is a pear tree. Lots of pears growing up there. Lots of pears that fall down as well. And then, see, lots of fruit falls down. And then this is our apple tree. It's actually a cooking apple tree. Oh look, there's a pear, a little bit of a funny shape, but she's organic. And then this is an apple tree. And we get loads and loads and loads of cooking apples off this tree. I'm not gonna lie, let me see if I can find evidence for you. The foxes and the badgers turn up and just give them a good old munch. So here's one. that's been semi-eaten. They fall down, the foxes come at night time and just give them a little munch. I've got a tiny, tiny, tiny cherry tree there, so not a big cherry tree. And you'll see under here, these little holes are actually where the mice live. So the mice hang out underneath this tree and then come out at night time and have a little chew on all the fallen apples, which is quite cute. And the mice are going to go crazy for this when this fruit starts to come out as well. So on this side of the garden, this tree here, I didn't even see it the first year we lived here, and then kind of spotted it when we were like, what is this? And these, if you can see those, here's a good one. This fruit looks like a bit of a green plum or a plum gone wrong. Hello. This little fruit is called a green gage. Delicious. You can make green gage. I should make green gage jam. I'm going to make green gage jam. You heard it here first. It's going to be officially a jam made of green gages. Now we're getting a little bit further away from the house, which is making me nervous because this is where the Wi-Fi starts to go a bit dodgy. So we're just going to have to hang in together, see what happens, because I do want to show you what's going on in the raised beds. Should we go for it? If the Wi-Fi drops out, bye-bye. If we stay here, then we're good. This border here is quite a colourful border, really fun. It's got lots of yellows and oranges in there at the moment. It actually has loads of purples. Okay, it is lagging a bit. It has loads of purples that are in here too, and the purples probably have already moved on already. Lots of alliums that were hanging out in there, but the purples might have moved on slowly. But very, very fun. Maybe, I think we should just brave it, and if the internet goes, it's going to go. Raised beds. We're going to the veggie raised beds. This is the raised bed section of my garden. Very, very fun. You're going to see weird little pumpkins and all kinds of random stuff. So first of all, we have this little bed of cosmos. It's a weird type of cosmos. So this is called a seashell cosmos. The petals on it, instead of opening up like a normal cosmos, the petals are actually in this little cone, and the bees are obsessed with it. The best thing about cosmos is they tell you when they're pollinated. So this one, look, has already been pollinated. It's actually starting to turn into seeds hiding down in here. What you're going to need to do if you want more flowers is chop off those heads, because when the plant has produced the seed, it thinks it's done its job, so it doesn't produce more flowers. So weirdly, you chop the seed head off, and then the plant is like, hey, I should probably give you some more flowers because the bees need to pollinate me and make some seeds. So that's a little cheating trick. But you definitely need to do that pretty much, every other day with cosmos. We have got some really, well, they were beautiful, these sweet peas. I loved the colour of these, but as you can see, these two have gone to seed. So look, the pea pods are already here. Some have actually started to curl and go brown and open up. So later on today, I'm actually going to do a bit of a seed harvest on this sweet pea, and then we'll have loads of seeds for next year, which would be cool. These are an interesting plant. They look like rubbish in the daytime. They're Nicotiana or Nicotiana, but they're a nighttime pollinator. So actually, if we do an evening live stream, which we could do together, couldn't we? That could be quite fun. Let me know if you fancy an evening live stream as well. And the flowers open up at nighttime. So they're really open and they smell amazing, but at nighttime for the pollinators, the moths, all that kind of jazz. And then we have some patio pans. We'll show you those another time. This is my corn, which I'm very, very excited about. It's sweet corn. It's a little bit shorter than it was last year. And what's really weird is you think that this is flour, but it's not. This is, well, actually maybe it is a flower, I'm not sure. But the seeds, the actual sweet corn itself, that comes out of these bits here. So that's what you'd normally see if you were buying sweet corn from the plant. It's where these bits have this little furry hat that's on top. That's the sweet corn hiding down in there. Let me know if you've ever grown your own sweet corn or if you're going to give it a go. It's actually really easy. You literally put like a dried sweet corn in a pot and then it turns into this. It does take a little while, but it's worth it. And the sweet corn is very, very delicious. This is just purely a sweet corn bed. I have sowed some winter cabbages in there for later. This weird little bed, some Saluna bronze sunflowers. So these are actually sunflower. Let's show you these in more detail. Actually a sunflower, but they're a small bush sunflower. Oh look, there's a little insect hanging out on there, just doing its thing. I need to pick this one up off the floor, look, it's kind of fallen down a little bit. But yeah, Saluna bronze, it's more of a bush sunflower that gives you loads of flower heads instead of like one big flower. Quite colourful, quite pretty, really quite cute. I should show you from this side where all the flowers actually are, shouldn't I? This is the one I need to pick up, look. It's like resting on the floor, which isn't great. And then these are patty pans, or I think in America, you might call them some sort of squash, but they're kind of white, like alien-shaped UFO courgettes. Really, really weird. And then this is a type of bean called a cave bean. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there's no beans on it yet. And where are we? My mum really liked the mirror mask is amazing. Oh my gosh, I could do a live stream with the mirror mask, couldn't I? Because then you'd just see what's going on. That is maybe a winner. These cave beans, apparently the beans were found buried with someone who was buried in a cave, and they were found in a pot with the buried person. We're talking like centuries ago. So like, I don't know if it was mummy times, but let's pretend. And they found those beans, and then they brought those beans back into commercial production, and now you can buy these ancient beans and try and grow your own cave beans. That's those, but yeah, no beans on them just yet. They better arrive soon. This bed is another sunflower bed, but look, they've all started to go, which is a bit of a shame. But we leave these on for the birds to eat because they love them. But they were a really cool sunflower. Okay, I think it's because my signal's a bit rubbish. But they were a really beautiful sunflower, like a rich, orangey brown sunflower. And I was obsessed with those. But there's a few left on here, but they're about to go. And then maybe what I'm going to do is get a little dongle so I can show you the top of the garden a little bit better in the next time round. But maybe we should just try and show you the pumpkins to see if we can do it before the internet cuts out. This is the problem with my garden, it's long. So like there has good signal, back in that space, top of the garden, zero signal. It's like a digital detox zone, which isn't absolutely perfect for a YouTube live, is it? But let's just quickly show you the two different pumpkins that I've got growing, and then maybe we'll call it a day. The pumpkins go everywhere, so they sprawl around the place. They go kind of exploring, look, they've gone all the way up there. There's some squashes in here, they've gone all over the place too. But there's two types of pumpkins right next to each other down here, and they're both green at the moment. So this is a Mariana pumpkin. This one will stay green. She's still quite small at the moment. I'm calling her a she. She's still quite small at the moment, but she's supposed to be absolutely delicious. But here in the UK, we like hardly ever cook with pumpkins. So if there's any American buddies on here that do cook with pumpkins, can you please drop me a recipe or something in the comments? Because yeah, well, I've never cooked with a pumpkin before. I skipped the insides out for Halloween, but yeah, I've never cooked with it. So can you just let me know? And then this pumpkin, I'm very excited about. This is my zombie pumpkin. Very much enjoying those knobs. That is a zombie pumpkin. When she's ready, she's going to be orange with green knobbles. And I do love a knobble. Okay, that is official. So that, maybe for now, is as far as I'm going to take you, because it does look like the internet out here is a little bit laggy. So let's head back this way, and then I'm going to sign off and say goodbye. The only other thing that I would love to show you is this kind of wild area down here. So we've left this whole part of the garden just to go absolutely crazy and wild. We've obviously had like no rain in forever, so it's a little bit dry, but we've carved a little path into it down here. And you can wander up there. The dog loves to go exploring and maybe go for a little poo in there as well, but we don't talk about that, okay, because this is a poo-free live stream. So yeah, the dog goes exploring down there, and we've got all kinds of wildflowers that are usually popping off in there. Tend to come out a bit earlier in the season, in the springtime, and they've started to die back already. We did have loads of ragwort, which doesn't sound like a very particularly pretty name for a plant, but the best thing about that is it has cinnabar moths that are in it. And I did do a tutorial about how to make a giant cinnabar moth out of paper, and they flap about the place. Well, that is my very quick sprint around some of the garden, not all of it because the Wi-Fi is a little bit rubbish. But I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you saw something that you thought was pretty. And I'm gonna end on this cute little pin dahlia, which you can see just here. That could be a contender for the village show. Look at symmetry on that. Anyway, thanks so much for having a little watch, and I shall see you soon. Bye.